Okay, well, welcome back to the Mindcastle
going straight into
podcast. So have you heard of techno-feudalism?
No.
All right, so this was like zero prep. We're just going for it, right?
Yeah.
But it actually fits very much with what we were just talking about. Okay, so let me describe something for you.
Okay.
Okay, so do you know what feudalism is?
No.
Okay, so back in the day, in the Middle Ages, and you're in Europe or whatever.
Oh,
and you're
can I guess?
Yeah, go for it.
Is it when you're you're super frugal with your stuff?
Not quite.
Okay.
Tied to that. So back in the day, in the Middle Ages or whatever, you didn't own, the serfs at least, or the peasants, etc., didn't own the land. They didn't own anything.
Okay.
You worked for the local lord or the local baron or whatever, who, he lives in his castle or his manor or whatever, and he owns all the surrounding lands, which would be like an enormous amount of land. And you have these little villages and, cottages and whatever, and the people lived there. They had their whole lives. They had industry, whatever, but they didn't actually own it. At the end of the day, you were the king's man or whatever.
Okay.
So your job was to work the land, and you gave a percentage of it to the Lord as tax, essentially, for the privilege of being able to live there. It's almost like rent.
Okay.
Kind of. Well, it was miserable and not okay. And fortunately, we don't live in a feudalistic society anymore, right? We live in a capitalistic democracy.
So that's feudalism.
That's feudalism. Now,
Okay.
think techno-feudalism. This is a term from philosophy.
I
So
see where
you
this is
see
going.
where this is going?
Yes. Okay.
Can you guess?
So I'm guessing techno-feudalism is kind of like what we were talking about with Amazon owning the books. And so it's like we're using these platforms and technology, but ultimately we don't own any of it. Like it can be taken away at any point. It's the big guys somewhere up on the hill. It's their thing. Is that close?
You pretty much nailed it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's a huge thing. Or not a huge, but it's definitely a movement within the philosophical, like academic world. So it's, it hasn't hit quite yet. But I heard about it from another philosopher I mentioned in the last episode, Jared Henderson, which has got some great stuff. He did a video on this, on techno-feudalism. And as a philosopher, kind of digging into what that means. And it's pretty fascinating stuff. And it makes you kind of not like the world very much. But basically, the trend in modern society, especially where we live in America, is trending towards everything is going into a service-based model.
Yeah.
Where you no longer own things, you rent things.
I really dislike it.
So you don't own a car, you rent a ride share on Uber. You don't own the house you live in, you pay rent. The landlord owns it. You don't own, some people, they literally don't own the furniture in their house. They rent it. Whatever. Even if you do own a car, you don't own it if you have a car payment.
Right.
Because if you default, they will come get the car.
Exactly.
You don't own that car.
Yep.
And a lot of this is, you could argue, the financial industry, the credit card industry, and now I'm going to Dave Ramsey a little bit. That they've been pushing and lobbying and really pushing that because they make more money. Like the more they can get you to live in a rent cycle instead of an ownership cycle.
Yep.
Well, the ownership isn't a cycle. It's just, it's done.
Yeah.
They win. They ultimately, in the long term, they win. Right. And this is like a real thing. This is a real trend, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we were just talking about this in the last episode when it came to like Amazon, right? And how maybe you might have mentioned your planner as being a bit of a pushback towards, you actually own something physically.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. Well, so even on YouTube, for example, we have this idea that those videos just kind of live there forever, right? It's on the internet. It'll be there for, no, it won't. Like it can be taken down. It is not mine anymore. Like I have all my videos, they're on hard drives, they're mine.
Yeah.
But as soon as I put that on YouTube now owns that video on their platform, and it can be taken down, it can be demonetized, it can be changed, and everything. It's completely within their control. And even beyond that, YouTube itself can go down. It's on it's on a server, it's on the internet, and that's not foolproof.
People seem to think that it is. If it's in the cloud, it means it's solid.
Right.
It's not.
It's not.
Did you know the cloud is a myth, by the way?
Yeah.
If you looked into this, it's
so weird.
Vox did a documentary series on what is the internet. And it was really eye-opening.
It's terrifying.
Really eye-opening. It's like, it's a bunch of cables and server farms. That's the internet. It's not in the cloud. It's very much physically based somewhere. And all you need to do is have a server farm go down, or someone start cutting some networking cables, and you're done.
You're toast.
You have no internet.
Yeah.
I was like, that's really scary,
Yeah.
actually. Like,
It's
it
really
is.
scary.
We're so used to it being dependable.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go into a situation like Ukraine, the war in Ukraine, and suddenly the internet's gone.
Yeah.
Because the infrastructure got wiped out. The towers got knocked out or whatever,
Yeah.
or the lines got cut.
And-
they're like, we're toast. Like, we can't even pass intel to our soldiers because there's no internet. There's no
Right.
cell. There's nothing.
And that right there is getting very, very close to the next step, which is like no electricity, no tech at all.
Yeah.
Like that's one step away. It's
Yeah.
way closer than people realize. And so, yeah, back to the planner thing. Like, this is my version of pushing back on that.
Yeah.
Oh my word, I get so tired of it. Every app I get, some kind of subscription, pay this monthly. I'm like, no, like, give it to me for free or let me buy it. Don't.
Yes.
Enough of this $7.99 a month thing. I'm so done with it. And so
They're hoping you forget that you're paying the monthly subscription.
exactly.
And then they got you for life.
Exactly. And so my planner is a push on. It's just like, it's mine.
Yeah.
It's not going to distract me. It's not going to like lock me out if I don't pay for it or whatever. I can use it or I can set it on my shelf for 20 years and it will not care.
Yeah.
And that is just really nice. My stove sends me notifications. Like, I'm so tired
What?
of being interrupted by things.
Why does it send you notifications?
If I'm preheating my stove, it'll send me a notification on my phone saying, ding, the oven has finished its preheating cycle.
Whoa.
And I'm just like, I don't stop. Just
Man.
stop. And so all of this, techno-feudalism is very applicable sounding to this whole thing. It's just, I'm tired of big corporations harvesting my attention.
And your data too.
And my data.
Yeah, they're using your data
Not
to harvest
cool.
your attention.
Yeah, not cool. And
But see, back in the day, the resource that was of most value was land.
Yeah.
Land was, and it still is, obviously, like they're not making more land. So like if
Right.
you can get a piece of land, as you well know, you own some land now, right?
Yep.
That's a good idea. That's a good deal, right? You should do that. Back in the day though, that was the thing that made you wealthy, because then you
Yeah.
had people work that land and you would get a tax from it, essentially. Again, going back to feudalistic society.
Yeah.
Now it's shifted a lot more to who owns the digital real estate. And so a company like Amazon makes almost nothing on their physical products, by the way. Most
Yeah.
people don't realize this, but if you comb through their numbers, you know where they make 80% approximately of their revenue in a year, as far as profit goes, the profit revenue, 80+% is from AWS. Most people don't even know what AWS is.
What the world?
AWS is Amazon Web Services.
Yeah.
Amazon Web Services is like their hosting, their selling of data to advertisers, their advertising industry, their algorithms that run what products are shown to you.
Yep.
Well, that data is very valuable because a company knows they need to sell on Amazon. Well, but the better data you have, the better you can market that product on Amazon, and better title, better images, whatever. And so you'll make more money because they sell more products. And so they pay Amazon lots of money to get a hold of that data. Amazon essentially has one of perhaps the largest data bank on the human race ever to exist.
That's
and
crazy.
that's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. And so they don't even need to make money selling you $3 soap because they don't. They lose money. They literally, like, the Amazon branded products are intentionally made to lose money so that people will buy them.
Yeah.
So they get better data because it keeps them on the platform, because it's worth losing money selling you, a $3 bottle of soap. They cost that much to ship it, but they can make money on the data that they harvested off of you.
Yep.
And we don't even realize that's going on in the background. Techno-feudalism.
That's crazy.
And on top of that, we have to pay Amazon a lot of money to have access to Amazon Prime.
Well, that too. Yeah.
So you don't own any of that. Amazon owns all of that, and they're just making off of you, the peasant. And as this seems really dark and conspiratorial, and I don't really mean it that way, but at the same time, I don't think that's healthy as a human race.
Yeah.
To live in a world where we don't own things anymore. I don't think that's good.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good deal.
And where we borrow everything.
Yeah.
Put
it on credit card payments. You don't actually own
Right.
it. Like
Yeah.
the credit card company now owns it.
Exactly. Yeah. And even just all the stuff that we use other than physical products. So like even all the tech that we use, where it's rented. Like it could all be taken back at any point in time. I don't know. That rubs me wrong. I don't like that.
So I was looking to switch my cell phone provider to a different option because hey, maybe they got a good deal. You know, to convince me to use your product, and it was a pretty good deal. We'll give you a new phone and everything. No. That phone is not yours. It's theirs. You read the fine print. They own it. If you don't keep these certain payments, you know, whatever for the next 24 months, it's their phone. You don't own that phone. And I was like, how interesting is that? They're smart enough to realize that they will make more money doing it that way. They're not actually giving you a good deal. They are maybe, but like they're in the end, they're out to make a profit, which I'm not opposed to. I mean, businesses need to make money. That's fine. But it's like, I'm not actually paying for a product that I now own. I'm paying for a service that I have access to.
Yeah.
And that is a subtle difference, but philosophically, and that's why philosophers are really starting to talk about this, that's a really big difference on the fabric of society and how our communities function and work and live together. It's a really big deal.
Because it weaves it on the surface, it seems like it would weave us together, but it actually doesn't.
Yeah.
Because, we're working together, you know, like we're, you know, that whole thing of I'm using his thing, he's using my thing, and we're kind of, you know, but it's not at all like that. It's like the tyrant, you know, oh, well, you're not going to pay it. All right. It's too bad.
It's feudalistic.
Yeah.
You know, if you lived on the Lord's land and you didn't make your tax payment that year because you had a crop failure because it rained too much, they'd kick you off the land, you know, or they would sell you into slavery. Yeah. Or they would, the equivalent of bankruptcy back then, except there were no fail safes. So like you just would starve often, you know, this was real. Like the stakes were really real.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not quite that hardcore now, which is good, but like,
well, but it can be. I mean, you see people that where you see how it can snowball. Yeah. You know, if you have a car payment, a house payment, you're paying on your furniture, you're paying on your credit card, you're paying on all this stuff, and one of those fails and you can't do it. I mean, yeah, we're not there yet, but you can very quickly get very, very close to that.
Like someone we know, not careful. Remember they'd paid like 30 years on their house and then missed the payments. They were within a few months of owning it. Our whole lives working for this house, missed a couple payments. They were just a couple $1,000s.
I still can't even believe that happened.
Or less. It literally, it would have been theirs in like 2 months or something. And they messed up. They missed their payments. They defaulted, and the bank took the house. I was like
that.
Woo! But see, if you have a mortgage on the house,
it's theirs.
I mean, they legally can come get it. You know? And so all this makes, you know, may sound like we're just fighting back against the financial industry, and we just don't really understand how government and, you know, the economy works. I'm not really interested in that. The point I'm making is, I don't think living in a world where everything is a subscription is good for us. I really don't. Like at a fundamental, both philosophical and psychological level, I don't think it's good for the human race. And there's an article that illustrates this perfectly, and I linked to it in the newsletter I wrote about this. I think it's 2016. I'm going to say one of the members of parliament in Denmark wrote an article for the World Economic Forum, which was immediately taken down, and you'll see why. But you can access it using the Wayback Machine, like the Internet Archive, and you can still get it. So the World Economic Forum, which is a big deal institution, publishes this, and the title is, it's 2030 and we own nothing, or something to that effect, right? It opens with this vision of utopia where you will own nothing and you will be happy. That's literally where that phrase comes from. Have you ever heard that, by the way?
No, I don't think
it's made its rounds. It's like infamous now.
I mean, that's circles. Like the kind of utopia vision in general, but I haven't heard that specific thing.
But this, you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Yeah, like where all your needs and everything are taken care of.
Exactly.
Ready Player One scenario.
Very much so, yeah. And so she out, and it's all serious. You think it's satire as you're reading it, but it's totally serious. Where I don't own my house, I don't own a car, I don't own my furniture, I don't own anything. We live in such a wonderful, abundant society that everything is just free. I don't have to own anything. While I'm not in my house, it's used by other people because, you know, we can all just share and we don't own anything. And she's describing this in the article. And I'm over here feeling like I'm reading a dystopian novel. Like it's so out of touch with the reality of what the average person goes through that I can't even imagine how it could have been written in seriousness, but it was. And that's why they took it down immediately. I mean, the backlash, the firestorm was immense, but that's where that phrase comes from. You will own nothing and you'll be happy. And it's like, No, actually, like that's really out of touch with who we are as a species. But that's how far we've come. And to where she's outlining a world where there are no goods that you buy, there's only services that you rent. I basically make the point, if we continue the trend of techno-feudalism and we continue going down the road of you will own nothing, in the end, all we will own, or all we will owe, not own, all we will owe is subscriptions and rent. Mm-hmm. You won't have anything that's yours.
And the only people who own things are the ones who have their quote, like peasants.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, I mean, your Amazons, your YouTubes, your Netflix, your whatever. Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, holy, no wonder they took that article down. I mean, because that's so out of touch with a lot of people. But there's some people that think that that's great, and I just can't quite get my head around that. So anyway, techno-feudalism. That's it. That's it right there. Like,
that's pretty bizarre.
Well, okay, here's a great example. If you wanted the Adobe Suite back in the day, you bought it. And it was yours and you owned it. And you could uninstall it and sell it to a friend and he could use the key code because you no longer had it, and you gave the keys to him and he could install it and have it. Now you pay for a subscription. You don't own
so
it.
Bad it was that way again.
And if you miss a payment 1 month, boom, you no longer have it. None of your files will open. You can't utilize it. And the problem is, it's like one of the industry standards for multimedia work, which we'll probably edit this in Adobe Premiere, and so you kind of have to have it if you want to use Photoshop. You want to use Lightroom, which these are standard. I mean, they're so universal. Photoshop is a descriptor now more than a proper noun. But you got to pay a subscription for it. Microsoft Word, right? It's a subscription.
Everything. I mean, it's seriously,
it's crazy.
I do a lot. I can't believe Notion hasn't gone there yet, even for their free version.
Yeah, Notion is free, but even that,
even that, I mean, they still own it. Obviously, you're borrowing it, basically.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually really interesting. Like people that pirate subscriptions. I actually understand it because like where I'm at, I've paid hundreds and hundreds, thousands of dollars for Adobe. It's like, you know what? I've paid for that. I'm just going to pirate it and it's mine.
Yes.
Like that. I understand that. I would not do that because
but
that's
it's
illegal.
an anarchist.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
But like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially if I wasn't making money from it and it was just like a hobby. Like, I can get that for free.
So I'm going to say, here's what I have to use. And this person probably will listen to this podcast, and I apologize, person. But we have this running debate on audiobooks. This person's like, I want it to be audible. It costs more, but I want it to be, and I'm on Script, which we've talked about in this podcast, because they're just, they switched the name, which is, I still call it Script, but best deal in the space. If you want ebooks and audiobooks, they're the cheapest per title. It's no question. Audible has a larger selection, but it's more expensive. But he's like, but I want to have Audible because when I claim a book, it stays in my library and it's mine. Whereas on Script, it's a subscription model that you stream it, which is theoretically correct. But if you read the fine print, you do not own those audiobooks on Audible. You do not. Amazon owns them. So if you have an Audible account and you think you have a library full of books that you bought, which you paid for and you claimed, and they said it's yours, they're not yours.
Yeah.
They've pulled books off that library. And people who paid for them, I'm sorry, you just don't have it anymore. It's not your book. You can't download those books and put them on your computer and listen offline.
Yeah.
You can't. It's not possible. You have to use the Audible app. You do not own those things. There is no ownership at all. And there was actually, in the early days of the internet, there was kind of like those people that pirate stuff. They were like, we need to have some level of ownership built into the laws around what govern the internet. And so they had this petition going around saying, if I pay for a physical, or if I pay for a digital good, I should be allowed to loan it to other people because it's mine. I own it. If I bought a physical book and I want to loan it to you, I could do that.
Yeah.
Right? It's no big deal. Now, if you have it because I loaned it to you, I can no longer access it, obviously. So you'd have to build that into the digital good of your choice. So let's say I have an Adobe license. I want to loan it to someone. I could loan it to them so they have access, and then I wouldn't be allowed to access it because I've loaned it to them.
Yeah.
But it's mine. I own it. That should be one of the rights of humanity, that if I own a digital good. And guess what? It got absolutely crushed. Absolutely crushed. There was no way the software industry was going to let that go through. But the reason it couldn't go through is because you don't actually own the thing.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter. It got completely annihilated. And the whole move, they've been trying, it went through courts, and it's still kind of limping along as more of a token protest, but we know it's never going to go through the courts.
Well, it's still alive in the sense that people take advantage of subscription services, and they share them and they send
That's
them.
true, yeah.
Because it's like, it's a version of, I own this thing, man. Like,
but you don't.
And so back to your friend that likes Audible. Like,
I just think it's hilarious because every time we have this conversation, I'm like, bro, like, you don't own those books.
They don't own them, but they're at least closer, maybe, in a sense.
And Audible is one of the worst offenders for removing or modifying content that you already own.
Yeah.
Like, if you look it up on Reddit or whatever, the amount of books that they've decided they do not want you to have access to anymore is insane.
Yeah.
Especially when they're like, oh, we don't like this because politically we don't like some of the things said in this book, so we're just going to remove it, or we're going to change it. That's the other thing, is they'll go into the Kindle book and say, oh, well, this is a slightly edited edition of such and such book, and then they'll just change it and take out the offensive parts.
That's wild.
And they won't tell you because they own it, not you. And it's like, it's on my Kindle. It's my book that I bought, but actually no.
See, it's crazy that they actually own it and not the author.
I mean,
so like, they can probably do that for books that aren't copyrighted.
Yeah,
under an author.
They have to work out the copyright stuff with the author.
Or they would have, or they'd have to work it out with them. But
sometimes sometimes it's like classics that are in the public domain, and they'll make modifications. That's crazy. Like, and this is documented, like well documented. And of course people protest, and sometimes they'll be like, oops, people got mad, so we're gonna. Well, it makes them look bad. So it's like sometimes they'll change it, but the point being, techno-feudalism.
Yeah.
And I don't want to live in a world where all I owe is rent and subscriptions. I want to live in a world where I actually own something.
So let's go to that next. Like, how do we go about doing that?
So your planner is a great example. You could get an app that would be like either a subscription, or they could shut it down at any point, or you could buy a notebook that has all the features of doing, say, quarterly planning, which is what you got here. And there's some great quarterly planning apps, right? Or you could buy something like that. You own it now. So like if I buy that, it is now mine. I can give it to someone. I can tear pages out of it if I want. I can deface it if I want. I could burn it. I could put it on a shelf and give it to my kids 50 years from now.
Yeah.
It's mine, and there's no question that I own that thing.
Yeah.
I would love to see a world where we lean into that more. And it's something my wife and I have been talking about a lot now that we have a family. It's like, when we think to go to buy something, we are very willing to spend a little bit more and get really good quality and get a thing that we own and will last for a really long time, instead of the alternative, which is cheap stuff that is intentionally built to break so that you had to buy it again, which is another way of doing subscriptions.
Yeah.
Like my dishwasher broke the other day, and the serviceman was like, yeah, dude, it's stupid. They intentionally build this part. It's like a $20 part that will fail, and it'll shut the whole thing down to get you to go and buy a new dishwasher every 5 years because it's just out of warranty. And I'm like, that's messed up. It's essentially a subscription model. They're intentionally building it to fail.
That's crazy.
To make you do that. So what I'm saying is, people should get those kinds of things that they can own and that will last for a really long time, and not require you to upgrade all the time. Like cell phones, you have to upgrade your smartphone every 2 years or every year because whatever. And it's like, we don't have to live in a world like that. Like, there are other options. It's possible to choose other options. I don't know. What do you think, though? Do you have ideas?
It's really hard when it comes to digital spaces.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I want it the most, but yet it's the hardest.
But how much of our digital world could we do non-digitally? Like, I'm wondering if there's a revival in analog anymore.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with all this. The fact that I'm, like I talked about last time, the fact that my planner will never distract me or like send me a notification or steal my data, it's just like really nice. And just you never have to worry about it. Your phone, there's just like a level of anxiety or something that comes with it because you never know what can come through that. Like anything can come through that. Good news, bad news, whatever.
Yeah.
I use my planner to manage all of my tasks and the things that I want to accomplish that are mine. And then I use digital like calendar stuff for events and things that are scheduled that are outside of me. Like they're not mine,
okay.
you know? So
Yeah.
a birthday party, like that's happening either way. It's an event. I don't care if it lives on a social platform or like on a platform that's owned by someone else. So I manage all of that on my digital stuff because it's just better and easier for that. And then I manage all of my personal stuff, like my achievement stuff, on something that I actually own. And so that's kind of how I'm doing it now. But yeah, it's really, really hard because so much of the things that I use are tech and they're subscription models. And I mean, you go into any app and go down and look at the in-app purchases and it gives you like a breakdown. Every single app nowadays is some kind of subscription, and it just drives me crazy. I was just looking at one that I use. I've used it for years. It's called Sorted, and it's my favorite to-do list and calendar mushed together. It actually does it well, but it's $35 if I want to buy it for all of my Apple stuff, and then it's mine. Or it's $12 if I want to just buy it for iOS, not Mac OS. I'm really like $35 is a lot, but I'm strongly considering just buying it because I really like it. And it's the only one I've used, and I've used it for years, and it's good. But it's just like, there's just something about that just does not feel right. And the fact that they added that in, like nothing changed.
Wow, that's really something though.
And like for years I used it and it was totally free. And then they were all of a sudden they realized like, oh, we can make this so that it doesn't sync between your iPhone and your iPad, and then people will want to upgrade, and we'll charge them $35 for that.
Yeah, or we'll charge a subscription for it.
And I'm like,
I mean, at least they let you buy it though, and not charge an infinite subscription.
Yeah,
at least it's not like
that is at least something. But who's to say that they don't take it down in a couple of years? You know, my friend Fidel was an edge leader in Colombia, and he had an app that tracked all of his flights. Everywhere that he went, tracked all of his flights. You just took a picture of your boarding pass. It calculated how many miles he traveled, how many hours in the air he had, how many flights he did, where he went, everything. And they discontinued the app. It's gone. All of that. And he's so frustrated by it. And I'm like, I get it. That's annoying. But so yeah, I'm struggling to know what to do about the tech side of things, other than cut back. I mean, I have cut back, dude. I'm ruthless.
I'm pretty big on cutting back because like you got to be thinking in terms of 100 years from now, what's going to be left, right? And like most of the digital services we have are going to be gone pretty soon, right? So if you can figure out ways of preserving things, like even things like photos, right? JPEG is a standard photo format. It's been that way for decades and decades. But who's to say in 100 years, JPEG may not be around anymore? Now, I don't know. It might be. But who says all those photos we've taken, what if one day we can no longer open JPEG files? And you would lose all those photos. Well, that's a real problem. Maybe we should print some photos. Yeah. You know, because then you have them like forever. You know, I mean, we have glass negatives from my grandpa from like the late 1800s, and you can still look at them. That's kind of cool. Yeah. And you don't need a software subscription or a computer to look at that. That might go obsolete. Like you know you've got it forever unless you were to lose them, I guess, or break them or something. And so I'm saying, I think it would be wise for us as a species to not forget that that's how the world was until pretty recently. And maybe we should go back to that more. Now, I'm very fine with software. Like I have an Adobe license. Like I use tech. I'm not anti-tech at all, but you also need to be realistic and say, I don't buy books on Kindle as a general rule. I buy them physically because I want my kids to inherit my library one day, you know, or I want to be able to loan that out to a friend. I want to be able to write in it or tear a page out if I want, or draw in it. I want that freedom to be able to do that. If I have it on Kindle, I'm totally sure that in 100 years, when my grandkids or whatever are going through my library, they wouldn't be able to get my Kindle books. I mean, there's no way.
No way.
You can maybe like get them on your Amazon account somehow, but like that seems just sad. I mean, that's just like really
look,
like
here's
really
Grandpa's
sad.
highlighting in his Kindle app.
And so like, how would that even work? Like, it's like, no, forget that. You know, I want to get something that lasts a long time. So I think some of that is also with this push for when everything's subscription or rent, the quality goes down on intentionally. So because if the quality's lower, you keep people in longer, because like my dishwasher breaking every 5 years, and then you have to upgrade or get a serviceman out every 5 years. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he was super chill, and he's like, here, I'll just show you how to fix it, so next time you don't have to call us. And I was like, whoa, bro, like that's cool. Like, this is your job. You know, he's like, man, it's dumb that they do that. It's wrong. Like, they shouldn't do that. You know, and so going for things that are really high quality is another thing that I really appreciate, because he's been a serviceman for like 20, 30 years, whatever. And he's like, bro, like, we'll come out and service freezers from like 1940 and they still work fine. And they're really easy to fix. They intentionally built them back then to last forever. Like, dude, that's like an 80-year-old freezer.
After World War II, like, this freezer's going to last for 100 years, man.
Yeah, like, hold it. You know, it's like a nuclear strike to take this bad boy out. You know, he's like, and now, how long does a freezer last if you go and buy it brand new from Lowe's? A couple years. Like, I mean, you know, something's going to break pretty quick. And he's like, that's on purpose. Like, that's not because we forgot how to make stuff. I mean, it's just like, and he was just kind of decrying that. And he's like, I know it's my livelihood, but it's also kind of sad, like, that we don't actually own stuff that sticks around and lasts. And I was like, man, he's really got a point. And it makes me think about that, especially now I have my house, you know, and I own a house now. And it's like, you think about it a little differently now than definitely. I used to. You know, I'm sure you do too. I mean, we're sitting in your nice, you know, in the house you built. It's like, I built this thing. Like, I own this thing. I put work into this thing, and it's mine. And I want it to be good, and I want it to last. And I don't want it to break. I can punch a hole in the
wall if I want.
Yeah, I can draw on these walls. It's mine. And you also don't want it to fall apart, because you want it to be something. You know.
Yeah. Well, so I was going to talk about that a little bit. This idea of ownership brings with it responsibility.
Yeah.
And when people use the subscription model, usually they're trying to avoid responsibility. Pay rental, like payments on your car, and we'll take care of the repairs. You know, if you drop your phone, we'll replace it. Like, it's just, it's taking away the responsibility one little thing at a time. And there's just something really powerful about owning something, and this is your responsibility. And a house is a dramatic example of that, but it was one of the key changes in my life when it came to responsibility, because until then, what was I responsible for? My car, maybe. And that's like a small little thing, but when you're responsible for something big that is important and upholds a piece of your life, your livelihood, it just changes you. It makes me more, I don't know what the word is, but it makes me value it more and appreciate it more than if it was, oh, there's a hole in the wall, call the landowner, hey, come fix the wall, you know, whatever. So that part of it is interesting too. If we're maybe shying away from responsibility a little bit.
I would say like the way finances are done, for example, I think has done a lot from, you know, the last 50 years or so on. You go to a grocery store, you get what you want, you swipe a piece of plastic, it's now yours. So the cause and effect there is almost non-existent. You know, that's a little thing. I'm totally fine with credit cards. I'm not Dave Ramsey, but there is still something about that where the cause and effect is a little muddied. We can just click a couple buttons and instantly get DoorDash. You know, and it just isn't quite the same as you went out into the woods and trapped the animal and killed it yourself and cooked it over a fire. You know, and I'm really glad we don't live like that anymore. Just to be really clear. I just, no. But you can think, like, psychologically, you would know the cause and effect of this is where my food came from, you know, or, oh, this food cost me money because I had to pay for it. Like you physically feel that leaving you, you know, and there is studies that show, like, psychologically it does something to us. And so when it comes to that can filter down into things like rent. It's like, well, I don't really want the responsibility. I don't like this cause and effect because we're not really used to living that way. Like you don't really see much cause and effect around us in society as much as you maybe would have in the past. True. And so when it comes to rent, I'll just let the landlord kind of take care of all the repairs. I don't really want to think about getting insurance on this house if I owned it. And, there's a lot to owning things. It's a lot of responsibility, like you said. I think there's something to that. And, you don't want to take that too far. But there are definitely studies on that, on like involving things like finance and how we view responsibility and cause and effect as a society has changed. Yeah. That is well established. Now, there's lots of different reasons for that. I mean, our previous generations are like, man, we won 2 world wars and we survived a Great Depression, so they're going to look at things a little differently than what have we done, huh? We survived the internet, I guess. That's about it. We really, I'm reading the memoirs of Winters, from the Band of Brothers, like the major, who commanded them through the Battle of the Bulge and stuff. And you're just like, bro, like they were a whole different level of responsibility and having to deal with challenges in life that what's the worst we had? Oh, I got a bad comment on like my Instagram post, like compared to what these guys went through, it's just nothing. And so I think we've just kind of gotten disconnected from real life. Yeah, I think so.
We don't make things with our hands anymore.
No. So, anyways, yeah. No,
that's super interesting.
So yeah, techno-feudalism.
I like that a lot. I might write about that in my newsletter.
There's a book called Techno-feudalism, by the way. Yeah, by a philosopher out of some school somewhere. Yeah.
Should we link that video for them?
Yeah, I'll link
watch,
that
because that's really interesting.
He goes a lot deeper into like cases in society, I think at a broad scale of how this has happened, like trends and charting the stuff and whatever. It's not just we're rising on, oh man, the world's getting worse. It's not really one of those situations. It's like, no, society has shifted. That's the point here.
Yeah. And it was gradual, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're there now.
Yeah.
Well, I refuse to download an app that has an subscription.
So back to
no, I'm not even kidding.
No, same, absolutely. No, but really, the world has shifted. Here's a great example: the first nuclear power reactor that went online was like for nuclear power, not nuclear weapons, was out west somewhere, and the government made it, which is kind of crazy. Back in like 47, I think 1947 or 1950, a long time ago, they built this thing from nothing to fully functional, powering like the town or whatever in 5 years.
Whoa.
Nuclear power plant. First one. And they were getting a tour. It's on Smarter Every Day, by the way. He's doing a series on nuclear power. Cool. Fascinating stuff. Anyway, engineering, I just love it. And he's getting the tour, and the guy gave him the tour. It's still functional. Like they don't use it to power things now, but they still have it. It's still a functional reactor. And he's giving the tour, and it's a big place. And he's like, but what's crazy is they built it in 5 years. The tour guide's saying this. He's like, and you couldn't get the permits to build a shed in 5 years anymore. And I was like, ow, but he's kind of got a point. Like back then, they knew how to do stuff, right? Yeah, they knew how to do stuff. And it's like, things function differently. And this isn't to be like, the past was better and everything. I'm not one of those guys at all, actually. I think that today is better than in the past. But there is something to that, like where they knew how to do things in the real world, like build stuff, get things done. Yeah. And there's no way you could build a nuclear reactor in 5 years today. And no less the government.
Unless we were at war or something, then you could.
Maybe. But can you imagine? I mean, the government can't even build a sidewalk in 5 years. I mean, it really, like the amount of functionality, it's changed so much. And so the point is, there are shifts and trends in society that I think all this stuff is wrapped together. Maybe people are thinking, well, this is a stretch. But I don't think this is a stretch.
No, I don't think it is either.
I don't think so.
We've stretched things out, basically, the cause and effect and all that.
You just don't know how to do stuff like we used to,
Yeah, that's a good point.
So anyway, makes me want to own a nuclear reactor because it sounds kind of cool.
I mean, imagine how cool it'd be if you're like, my house is powered by a nuclear reactor. Yeah. You like open the closet with this glowing green like orb. Like, oh, you sure that's a good idea, man? Yeah, well, off grid.
It's just maybe we've just gotten really disconnected with how things work.
Yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
I think that's a good point. We've gotten disconnected from our physical environments. Like, when was the last time you touched a tree?
I I touched the grass not that long ago.
Well, that's pretty good. Most people don't even do that. So like, you know what I mean though, where the mindset, what you're describing is accurate. And like, we don't really know how to do like the tangible things anymore, like building nuclear reactors. Like I kind of forgot
legitimately,
how to do that.
we don't know how to do that anymore.
But I think what goes with that is the mindset of, okay, I don't know how to do this thing, but I'm going to figure it out. Yeah. And then just going for it, because I think that's more the mindset that we've lost is like, how do I figure out someone else to do this for me? How do I pay someone to solve my problem? Yeah. How do I avoid any form of getting myself involved as much as possible? And I don't think that's healthy. And so part of the solution to this, at least in my mind, is let's start building the mindset of ownership for one, but also you see a problem that you could fix, like tangibly, go fix it, and start building that practice, that mindset of getting involved with your environment. Yeah. You're like, that's actually a thing that's a genuine thing that people avoid, and that's not good. I don't think. And I've started doing that more, where it goes in spurts where I get angsty with my house, and eventually, like, I'm on a kick right now where I'm just like, this thing's been sitting here for a long time, and I want to put it on my wall, and I just haven't. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So I'm gonna get control of my physical environment, and I'm like buying rugs for my outdoor, like walk-in place, so I don't have to wipe my feet on an old piece of carpet. I'm like, I'm gonna hang out my pictures. I'm gonna buy a cool clock for my wall, like the only wall that I have that I could hang something on. I'm gonna hang up my pictures. Like, I need to take control of my physical environment again, because I just haven't, and it's a wreck. And I think there's something to that, building that mindset of, I'm going to fix that. Yeah. I'm just going to do that. And so that's what I'm kind of trying to learn how to do, and starting those projects and just going for it. Like, I want to build a secret bookshelf in my closet that opens and there's like a room behind it. Ooh. I have no idea how to do that, but I'm not going to Google it. I'm not going to look up how to do that. Okay. I'm just going to cut a hole in the wall some Friday or Saturday and see if I can figure it out. Yeah. Because I think there's something important about that. Yeah. Like, I think that's actually an important thing to do. Get yourself in a little bit over your head in a way that's not dangerous, obviously, but just see what happens. I mean, that's what I did with some of my house. It's like, I don't know how to do this. This looks right.
I mean, it's here. It's still standing. I mean, it's just getting back in touch with how the world functions, is a really big deal. Like, I think it's pretty easy to lose touch of that, especially, I don't know, it feels like COVID kind of messed that up a little bit. It's like, oh, we can all just kind of work from our closets, and just kind of lose touch with, like, actually, the supply chain is a real thing that exists. That's very complicated. And it's a lot of people working really hard to drive trucks and to move things and to build stuff and to, maintain highways. And suddenly it's like, I can't just sit here in my closet and the world will continue to function. The world is like, takes people doing hard work, right? And you really, we lose touch. And that's why I'm back to the techno-feudalism. You live in this digital, netherworld that's not really a reflection of how does the globe overall work? It's just easy to lose touch of that stuff. And I just feel like, it's pretty clear that we've lost touch with a lot of stuff. Yeah. And that kind of makes me sad. Like,
that's why when I went, we haven't talked about this probably. When I got my furniture moving job, like, after I built my house, pretty much had zero money in my bank account and wasn't really making any off of YouTube. So I had a little bit of a crisis there. And so I got a part-time job. Well, I started moving furniture, and that was really good for me. It's like, okay, couch, door, stairs, we got this, and we're going to carry this 250-pound thing sideways through a door, and we're, sweating and whatever. Yeah. That's actually really good to do for a whole day. I did it 1 to 2 days a week, and there was something just really satisfying about that. And it got old and it got tiring and stuff. And so I'm not saying that needs to be the whole entire life, but it should be a part of it.
You suddenly really respected those industries where it's like, wait a minute, someone had to bring those chairs in here.
Yeah, and
You know?
and they know, and people do it badly, and people do it well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that move furniture that are bad at it. And me and my coworker was really good at it, and he taught me to be good at it. And it just gives you a respect for it because you're like, you're gonna carry couches for a living, and I'm like, you clearly have no idea about the 47 different angles that you can turn a couch to fit it up a stairs sideways through a door. Like there is a actual skill to that, and it just gave me an appreciation for it. Like this is harder than editing a video. Like this is hard, and crazy stuff happens, unexpected things happen, and you have to adapt and adjust, and that's a good part of life.
And you learn a lot about just the underlying framework that keeps the society going.
Yeah.
You start realizing like, wait a minute, all these things that keep this town functioning. We live in small town USA here, right? Be like, okay, someone's maintaining the roads. I drove past a city park on the way here. Well, someone takes care of that. Someone mows the lawn. Someone, keeps it clean and empties the trash cans. And like, there's a lot that goes on to keep the world functioning. And when we live in this more techno-feudalistic slant of we just can work from our closets and, pay subscriptions for everything and rent everything and not own anything, you just lose touch with that stuff. And I've said it before, I just don't think that's healthy for our species, so to speak. So the point being, if you can own stuff, I think that's a good. Not always. There are some things that you subscribe to the power company that keeps the lights on, right. There's obvious exceptions. I will own my power. Which I've thought about getting solar.
Hey, that is actually tempting.
Anyway, but really owning things and also just leaning into good quality stuff that will last a long time. It's kind of this throwaway society where it's like, I'll buy this and I'm expecting to have to buy it again routinely because it'll keep breaking.
Yeah.
So I've started going for, I need to buy a tool, get something with a lifetime warranty. Just stuff like that. You pay a little more and then you're good. You never have to worry about it. It's called the boots theory, by the way. Look it up sometimes. Fascinating. So we could do a whole episode on the boots theory. This concept of paying higher dollar for stuff that lasts it much longer and how in the end you actually save a lot of money. But there's a whole theory of economics around it called the boots theory. Look it up on Wikipedia. It's fascinating. It's great.
Interesting.
We'll do an episode on it sometime.
Yeah.
Anyways. Okay. Well, that's techno-feudalism.
Yeah.
So you learned something.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
I actually like that we discussed this because I had a little bit of a nebulous idea about it, but now it's like a bit more concrete.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I think you're right. I think it is unhealthy for us. And so that's something that I'm going to lean into, especially with my planner, because I'm finding new ways to push that forward and show people like, hey, if you're into this, like if you want to take back some of this stuff, here's a way you can do that.
Yeah.
And so I might write a newsletter on that, and
instead of buying a subscription to some kind of task management app, for $2 a month. Oh, it's so cheap. Oh, it's cheaper than that notebook is. And like, okay, that notebook will last 100 years if you want, I mean, really, like it'll, I'm way more that way. So I finally was like, I'm going to start spending good money on good notebooks.
I remember when you showed me that.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, I'm so happy now. Instead of like these e-ink readers we were talking about last episode. Those things are kind of a joke, but they're okay. They're not a joke. They're cool, but they're not. Yeah. Give me a notebook.
For some people.
Anyways.
But anyway, super cool. We learned some awesome stuff. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review. We've actually got like a couple reviews,
and then also too, like what topics we should do next, because like this is a big one for me, but like people might not be interested, and we can do other things. Like for example, I've been deep into like nuclear war theory and things like that, or we could go into like a bunch of other cool stuff like reading.
Deep into focus.
I've been deep into reading fiction.
Ooh,
like Count of Monte Cristo fiction.
Whoa,
which is a 1,600 page book, mind you. It's literally as heavy as a brick.
Some things never change.
Or I don't know. There's lots of places we could go with this podcast. So if people want to give suggestions,
Moon Rock now,
and I own a moon. Oh, dude,
we got we have a lot of cool stuff happening.
We got to do an episode on the moon.
Yeah,
and the moon rock and the astronaut and the whole thing.
There's a
teaser. I got to interview one of the 4 remaining guys that walked on the moon. There's only 4 of them left alive because they're all really old. And I got to interview one of them for like an hour and a half. It was ridiculously cool. And so we need to talk about that. And a moon rock. I got a moon rock.
And a moon rock.
I got a moon rock. I was so happy.
So cool. So anyway, we got a lot of cool stuff coming. And sorry for the extrapolated posting schedules. We'll work on that, but we're doing some fun stuff. And thank you for listening. I know some people are all around the world. It's pretty crazy that they sit and listen to us. So we appreciate that a lot. So anyway, have a great rest of your day, and we will see you in the next one.
Yes.
Check us out on YouTube.